Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Esther Juma and I'm a certified psychologist. And for those who've been following me, you realize I've been talking about mental health issues. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that is very important in our lives and it affects all of us. So feel very welcome. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, be watching my videos. Like this video and share, and hope you benefit from this discussion. Thanks very much and feel welcome. Today I'm feeling very delighted to talk about self-esteem. So even as we begin, what self-esteem? Just think for a minute what self-esteem is. So when we talk about self-esteem, this is how we value and perceive ourselves. People look at themselves differently, they perceive themselves differently, and this from the different experiences that they've gone through. So before I continue, I've just forgotten to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It's the Christmas season. So Merry Christmas, everyone. So as I was saying earlier, self-esteem is how we perceive and value ourselves. We can also say it's the confidence we have about our abilities and what we can be able to do, what we can be able to achieve. It's our self-worth. It's the pricing you put on yourself. How do you look at yourself? When you look at yourself, do you see a worthy person? Do you feel you're worthy? Or do you feel you're worthless? What could you be your pricing? If you had to put a price on your head, how much would you cost? That's on a lighter note. So self-esteem affects all of us differently. There are people who have low self-esteem, there are people who have a high self-esteem, and there are people who have an excessively high self-esteem. So which would be the best self-esteem to have? So it's really important that we have a healthy self-esteem. People who have excessively high self-esteem, they seem to be arrogant, they feel entitled, they feel they are better than others, which again is not good for relationships. It's not good for themselves as well. But today I would want us to really concentrate on low self-esteem because that's what affects us. When we talk about low self-esteem, this is a person who looks down upon themselves. They feel worthless. Some of them don't love themselves. They might not even see the need to continue with life. So it's really important that we know some of these things. So I'll just talk a little about low self-esteem. So our opinions and beliefs are also part of the self-esteem, which sometimes are very difficult to change, but it's important to know that that's involved in our self-esteem. And some causes could be because of bullying, maybe because of being told as a child that you're ugly, that would really impact on your self-worth. It would really impact on how you look at yourself. Things that you imagine. You could imagine that you're ugly, and yet you're such a beautiful or handsome young person. And so when somebody tells you that you're beautiful or you're handsome, they could really hurt you. You feel offended by that because deep down you believe different. So this child could be seeing themselves differently from what others are seeing. A person who has low self-esteem does not accept compliments easily. They're always very negative. So this is somebody that if you tell them they are smart, it could be a big issue for them. It could even end up in a fight or a quarrel just because you complimented them. This is a person who fears making mistakes, which is a big issue. They could be having difficult relationships, not being able to relate well with people at work or in their personal lives back at home. They don't believe that they deserve happiness. So those are just some issues that people with low self-esteem have. And again, it's not their mistake that they have a low self-esteem. Low self-esteem could come about due to some of the things that people are told, like it could come from childhood trauma. Like there are people that are made to be, in a home, like let me take an example of firstborns. They are made to be young mothers or young fathers. What I mean, a child is still in primary school, but they're the ones taking responsibility of their siblings. They are the ones who are cooking. They are the ones who are doing almost everything in the home. And this could reduce their self-esteem as adults. Chronic illness could reduce somebody's self-esteem. A chronic illness diagnosis, losing a job, being homeless, some eventualities of life that are so unexpected. They lose their relationship, or they're in a difficult relationship, or they're in a difficult time, or they're in a financial crisis. All these things can reduce self-esteem. Losing a loved one can also affect one's self-esteem. It is a mistake that they have a low self-esteem, and this can happen to anyone, anytime. So when we talk about low self-esteem, somebody just needs to strive to work on their self-esteem so that they have a healthy or a high self-esteem, because high self-esteem has benefits that we'll talk about in another video. But for low self-esteem, once somebody realizes that they have a low self-esteem, it's something they can work on. So even as you're listening to this video, if there are certain things that you feel you possess, or some behaviors that you feel you have, you feel worthless, you fear making mistakes, you are not able to stand for yourself, then it's really important that you do some work so that you have a high self-esteem. It might take time, but it's doable. It's something that you can be able to do to improve on your life. Because when somebody's self-esteem is raised, then they start looking at life differently. Some of the things that people with low self-esteem would feel, I just want you to listen so that you realize whether you have that or not. You might find you are in a restaurant or in a public place where nobody knows you, but when people laugh, you feel they are laughing at you. You may be having a low self-esteem. You could be someone that when you're with people, or if you're with a friend, you start talking negatively about the other friend. Maybe if you have a mutual friend with this particular friend, then you talk negatively about the other friend. And when you leave this friend and you go to the other friend, you talk negatively about this one. That when you realize that you're having a low self-esteem and you're looking for favors. Low self-esteem can also put people at risk, especially sexual risk, because you'll find yourself having so many relationships because you get that instant gratification anytime we're with someone else. And let's say if you have a partner, a regular partner in your life, then this will obviously impact on your relationship, but you can also get infections like STIs if this is happening in your life. So let's be aware of some of the things that can happen. When expectations are not met, this can also bring people who lead lives that are exceptionally, lives that are very high standards of life that they can't afford. This can also cause you to have a low self-esteem. Try to live within your means so that you lead a healthy life. So what are some tips just to help you improve your self-esteem? First, it's important to be kind to yourself. Try to learn who you are. Try to know yourself. What are some of the things that make you happy? What are some of the things that make you sad? Try counseling, or what we call talking therapy. because it can really unearth so much that you've gone through. Look after yourself. That's really important, because sometimes when people have a low self-esteem, some people might not look after themselves, while there are others also who cover this low self-esteem by really being smart all the time. When I talk about smart, it's the physical appearance, which for some people, if they don't like the way they look, that can also cause them have a low self-esteem. It's important to recognize your positives, because there are people who have a low self-esteem, so most of the time they just concentrate on the negatives. Recognize your positives as well, because we all have positives and negatives in our life. To challenge, unkind thoughts that you might feel inadequate. When you say negative things to yourself, just imagine, would you want to say such things that you're telling yourself? Would you want to talk to a friend the same way you're talking to yourself? If the answer is no, then that's not the best thing to tell you. Practice saying no, what we call assertiveness. Learn to be assertive. It's not easy to be assertive. It's something that somebody practices over time so that you can be able to say no. When you are passive is when you accept things that you know you should not be doing, and you go do them just because you lack that ability to say no. Being able to say no really helps, because you'll not be stressed most of the time. So when we say assertive training, that you need to learn and be able to say no, what we mean here is that when you say no, you say it in a way that you do not put the person you are telling no down. So stand for what you believe in, stand for what you mean without putting people. And sometimes just doing good things for yourself, maybe making a good meal for yourself. Yeah, so at the beginning, I talked about people who have excessive high self-esteem, that they might be preoccupied with being perfect, they might be arrogant, they might believe they are the best. How would you want to be? High self-esteem is the best. So when it's low or when it's excessive high, that's not good for us. But when it's high, it's good for our mental health. So let's strive to have a high self-esteem, knowing that we don't create a low self-esteem for ourselves. It comes because of the experiences we've gone through, and self-esteem changes. I could be having low self-esteem today. I work on it and I have a high self-esteem. So let's strive to be self-aware. This is just one of the things that we need to be really aware about. Self-awareness helps us have a very healthy mental health. So we come to the end of this video. Hope you learned and enjoyed. Kindly subscribe. And for those who've watched to the end, I'm very, very grateful. And see you in the next video.